Hi everybody, it's March 18th, 2026. In this culture that we have nowadays, it's very popular to talk shop about our unique interests, our unique hobbies, our unique passions. Talking shop generates a lot of content. It generates a lot of views for that content. It garners fandomness or fandom culture, and it just, for a lot of the social media platforms, the nuances, the mechanics, the lore, the little details that go into our passions and our little hobbies and interests generate a lot of attention. And so we like to talk about the mechanics of things. And I learned that when I'm learning the mechanics of my life and how I live my life and how I interact with the parts of my life, it's interesting. It's kind of a good philosophical exercise to kind of break down the mechanisms of why and how my life works the way it works. But I think I've alluded to this before, is that I keep on coming to a point where the mystery cannot be broken, or mystery cannot be solved. It cannot be answered. And I think that's just the way it should be on this side of reality, because knowing, if you could peek past the veil far enough, or relatively even a short distance past the veil, but past it, if you knew that much, what exactly would you get out of this life? I'm not talking about like it'd be a spoiler or anything like that. It'd be kind of more deep. Like, what would you get out of this life if you knew exactly when and why you are wrong, or how and where you are going, and how what you are doing is correct or incorrect? And then when you pull back, you said, then aren't you saying then basically everything is relative? And no, not in all instances. Not everything is relative. There is right and wrong, very much for a very large portion of the time. And the gray areas aren't exactly gray unless you haven't come into the knowledge or wisdom to discern what is gray about it and what action should be taken. So all this to say is that, yes, trying to break down life and trying to understand life is good, and the mystery is always going to be there. So in the end, all I'm saying is doing what is right and believing in God, and at the least following God, is the best way to peek beyond the veil. That's the best way to know what you don't know. So this gets me to thinking about how the mind diffuses certain things. I can say the first thing of how the mind diffuses is, for the thinkers, how the mind diffuses joy. So if you have been suffering for a while, or if you are paranoid about the way that the world works and how it is, when you come into a point of life, whether how long or short it may be, and you get to a joyful part of life, the thinkers out there will start to get suspicious, and they'll want to break it down. They want to be like, why am I so happy after all I've been through? Why am I so happy when I know that if I peek outside this corner, I'm going to see suffering in my life? Why am I so happy when I know all the wrong I did and I don't deserve it? So the thinkers are going to diffuse this happiness and joy that is given to them. And the good thing I can say about this is that sometimes, no matter how intelligent you think you are, no matter how skeptical you are, how hard you are to fool, sometimes joy is going to be there for as long as it wants to be, as long as how you deserve it, no matter how intelligent you think you are. So this is how the mind works. It tries to diffuse joy for those that are suspicious of this life. And I could say it's natural sometimes to be suspicious of this life, but sometimes you have to be strong enough to have the faith to let things be and let yourself get the mercy that you deserve. Another thing I can say about how the mind diffuses is that if you are on the right path, if you are following the truth and being somebody who is of truth, your mind will diffuse illusions, no matter if you accept it or not, the truth after you diffuse the illusions. So an example of this can be like somebody who's gone around living his or her life for the past few years thinking that literally everybody hates them. And so once you get to a point of wisdom, your mind is going to diffuse that illusion, and you're going to see the truth that everybody doesn't know you, everybody doesn't have an opinion on you. Some people, and lots of people, may actually love you. And so even after your mind diffuses this illusion, you may still hold on to the illusion, but a part of you now knows the truth. And that's how you know that your mind is healthy, even though you have this level of paranoia that is living inside of you. And the last thing I can say about how the mind diffuses is you get to a point where your past no longer matters. So you try to dive deep into the mystery of your past and to try to get answers from your past to help you in the future and the present. And no matter how you try to decode your past and try to summarize it and try to make it make sense, your mind will diffuse every effort. And this is a sign that you need to start looking at now in the future, because the mind looking at the past is only going to confuse your sense of direction. And this is quite obvious why, because if you're looking back too much, it's going to overlay into your present and your future, and you're going to make decisions based on emotional responses to what you think you know about your past. So I hope this helps. Thanks.